Index funds. Yes, they are so hot right now. So that's why we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about what they are, what they do, how you use them, benefits, drawbacks, all that good stuff. Make sure you watch. So a market index is just basically a grouping of stocks that tells you where the overall market is moving. So there's a lot of different indices, right? Like the S&P 500, there's the Dow, there's the Russell, just different groupings. So an index fund is just a mutual fund that mirrors the movement of that index. So for example, SPY, it's an index fund ETF, and all it does is mirror exactly what the S&P 500 does. So if the S&P 500 goes up 1%, so will the SPY. And that's nice because imagine trying to buy all 500 stocks in the index yourself. That's not going to work out too well. It's going to cost a bunch of money, first of all, even if you're buying just one share of each. And then the costs associated with all of it are going to be so expensive. All those transactions. You don't want to do that. That's why they got index funds though. That just does it for you. You can just put in any amount you want and that index fund will track the index that you were trying to track. Nice little middleman, an actual useful middleman. So there's a good article from Investopedia on this, but the idea of index funds came from the idea of the efficient market hypothesis. And EMH basically says you can't beat the market, so don't try. So basically, if you can't beat the market, why don't you just invest with it? If stock picking doesn't work, well then you just invest with the index and whatever it does, you should do, right? So John Bogle, who's the founder of Vanguard, and Vanguard is one of the biggest suppliers of these index funds and ETFs for the lowest cost. So he's the one who kind of came up with the whole indexing idea. He's the father of it. He said, if you can't beat them, join them. And he created the first low-cost mutual fund that mirrored the S&P 500 index. And I actually made an entire video about Jack Bogle because unfortunately he passed away recently. You should definitely check this out. I'll link to it in this video, but you'll see that Jack Bogle, he was really a man of the people. Like the reason he created index funds was not to get rich, but was to just help the common person. And that's something very rare, you know, in the investment industry. Everyone's really out for themselves. They say they're there to help you, but really they're just there to make money off of you. This guy was different. Definitely go check out that video. So EMH says that you can't beat the market, right? And for a majority of people, and not just people, like professional fund managers too, that is the case. Markets are tough. And you see, majority of mutual funds fail to outperform the S&P 500. On average, anywhere from 50 to 80% are beaten by the market. So as of June 30th, 2017, 82.4% of US funds underperformed the S&P 500 during the previous 5-year period, meaning only 17.6 funds did better than the index. So most funds, and I mean these are like managers that you're paying to do better, they're professionals, they are underperforming. And not only do they underperform, but they're charging you a fee for managing your money. So if the fee is like 2%, well then guess what? The returns that they make for it to be worth it to you have to cover that 2% plus more. So if the market makes 8% in the year, right, they should be making at least 10% just to do as well as the market. And I've talked about this fee structure before and why people get mad about it in that recent Billions video. I'll link to it above. So one of the huge benefits of these index funds is the low cost that comes with them. You don't have to pay those same high management fees that you would pay to a mutual fund because these aren't being actively managed. The only point in the index fund is to track the index. There's no stock picking going on. So while non-index funds have an average expense ratio of 0.63%, many index funds are just around 0.05%. And that sounds like a small difference, but it's actually huge, especially over your lifetime. The amount of fees that you're going to pay and the amount of money you're collecting, those fees go up and up. So you want a small fee structure, at least, you know, if all your guys doing is indexing. So index investing, it's not active, right? You're not picking stocks. And well, this is where the whole passive investing idea came from. So if no one's beating the market anyway, why are we trying? Why are you paying for it too? Why not just passively invest, right? Let your money do what the market is going to do and pay very, very low fees for it. So that's the whole idea behind index funds, why they've become so popular and why passive investing just has all the hype right now. So with passive investing, you know, it might be a good strategy. You're not going to get rich overnight, but if you could hold that index fund or ETF for 30 years, then yeah, you're going to be sitting on a good chunk of wealth. Hopefully, as long as markets continue to be bull markets like they've been in the US. But here's the thing that people forget. So yeah, index funds and passive investing might be a good strategy for someone who doesn't want really any involvement in the stock market. But even for that person, the stock market is going to go through periods where it's going to drop really hard. And when it drops drops really hard, it gets really hard to hold on to those passive investments. And the way for those passive investments to work is, yeah, you need to hold through that 50% drawdown or whatever you're gonna face, because you don't want to be selling after your money gets chopped in half. But unfortunately, most of the people in these index funds and stuff, that's when they sell because they can't handle it. And I mean, I don't blame anyone from selling. It's horrible when you see your life savings go away like that. But that is the risk of passive investing. Where with active investing, that's where managers really come in handy, because they have risk control in place where your money shouldn't take that full 50% cut in a crash or something. That's another duty of the active manager. It's not just outperforming by picking the best stocks, but it's also managing that risk. And it's the same thing with the strategy that I use, the Nasdaq All-Stars. It performs pretty well, but it also has drawdowns less than half of the normal index. And that's a big key for me because I don't like seeing my money get chopped in half, you know? And actually, if you're interested in hearing more about how that system works, I talked about it in another video. I'll link to that video right here. But yes, passive investing with an index fund can definitely be a good strategy for you, but you also got to know the downside of a strategy like that. There's not really any risk control. Now we're going to be talking about more topics like index funds and how to invest. So if you want to see those, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you get an email notification for when they come out. And I mean, we publish videos every single day, 7 days a week, all business and market related. You should definitely subscribe and come hang out with us. It's a lot of fun. So do that, and I will see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.